So someone was saying how, what's it called in LabVIEW? I'll open my LabVIEW and GWeb as well. So about the types of graphs and how one is so much better than the other. Yeah, I think it's a timeless, evergreen debate. There's always something that will be swearing that one way is so much better than the other. My 2 cents is that in different cases, like different chart types, or the what's called the update mode, will just be case specific. So you can't say one is better than the other. In some cases, overlay will be better than stacked, and so on and so forth. So it really depends on what they're trying to do. This stuff to me looks like one of these oscilloscopes back from the 90s. So, and obviously something like this is better, especially if you have. Well, normally the argument was that this is worse because you don't. That this is bad because you don't know where you are in the file. Well, somehow, how do you know if this one where you are in the file? So normally, like on my site example, and this is just a prototype example. I'm not saying that's the best thing to do, but you would have another indicator telling you where you are in the file. And yeah, now I can hear the GPU going. Just check the GPU must have went to like 180. So that's the CPU then. The CPU is only sitting under 9%. I don't know when the fans start going mental. Anyway, I have some tools for like offline processing as well. You don't need to like download files. But with this one, obviously if you on a touchscreen or something, the other comment was about the auto scaling stuff. So yeah, all of the scale here is the same. Why this one only shows, because this is the active channel. You're just showing 0. Right, that thing just works for the active channel. Yeah, so I'm saying there's a lot of problems with this. It's nothing, it's far from perfect, but saying that one way is better than another, yeah. Right, so this thing, I'm still testing it. This, you can remove channels. Yeah, this control is not very intuitive. I tell you, just like right click on this, because this gives you the thing of the browser. So it's the kind of stuff I can do in my own standalone software. So there is a version for this, that but then you have to download it to your computer, so on and so forth, which most people don't want to do. Right, and again, to that claim that one way of reviewing data is better than the other. Yes, there's a claim that if you just scroll the data this way, you don't know where you are in the file, but then they were not showing. Normally, we'll have a zoomed out file scroll, which tells you exactly that, where you are in the file. So you can scroll using this file. Normally, if you, well, in theory, you could just have something like this transparent behind the bar, and on a touchscreen, you could just scroll back and forth with your finger like this. This is something I'm considering. So obviously, that thing where this thing that will refresh itself, yeah, obviously it doesn't make any sense for a touchscreen. And I did see some commercial EEG review software, particularly Persist, has an option to load the data on a touchscreen for clinicians to use. So obviously you will have something like this, like a strip chart single update, and you just potentially have a scroll for the whole window, just sitting there behind, or something. That's actually, no, that's an odd way to do it. You should, yeah, scrolling will be like I have with keyboard shortcuts, or with the mouse wheel, where you can scroll back and forth, up and down, so on and so forth. So yes, so it's case by case basis. I wouldn't say one way is necessarily better than other, but yes, overall execution makes a lot of difference. So in this case, you can just overlay all of them, so that's kind of handy to see the difference between channels. So you can see one is normally a bit noisier than the others. You can see spikes, and if they is synchronized in time or not. So here we see like some delay. It's like 100 to 200 millisecond delay between these two spikes. They are small anyway, so probably will be within like a noise margin anyway. Yes, potentially some larger fault. And yes, the engineers will have a very specific demands from screens like this. They will say, oh, you must have a horizontal y axis indicating the scale, which yes is generally a good idea, but then you can have a scale indicated elsewhere. This one is auto scaling, but for the whole thing. So when you split it like this, all channels, all the scale, making sure it's all the same on all channels. So when you see a signal larger on that channel, which is actually like channel 15, say, and smaller on this channel, channel 1. So you can just see it from there. So this going up to yes, the top one is the second. Well, it wasn't obvious. Need to correct it. I probably should just remove something that I can actually do straight away. I did it for another tool. So just get rid of the the X axis indicator, which is that 5, so like the 5 seconds. Then you have minus 123, and on this one, well, that doesn't work, does it? Yeah, more bugs. I need to improve it. Other thing that you can do is split. So this is 16 channel recording. It's intracranial EEG. So electrodes placed on just on top of the brain, on top of the cortex, on the surface of the brain. And yes, there's 16 electrodes on left and 16 overall, and 8 electrodes on the left and 8 electrodes on the right. So you can selecting this, split them up into left and right. And again, there is some auto scaling happening. And here we can see, yeah, that noise is happening on both electrodes, but it's reversed. It's normal. It's a normal case. It doesn't. It's probably not clinically relevant, and all that stuff is within the noise margin as well. There should be another file with actual seizures that I'm not loading on the site. I just have it in I had it in MATLAB and LabVIEW so far. So I do plan to share that, and then so when you display all channels like this, yeah, you can see that yeah, rendering does matter. Your screen size matters. So if you wanna, someone was doing a review on like a laptop in the car, so I don't know how big the screen is. I'm on a much larger screen at the moment, so being able to view it, I'm viewing it essentially in 4K at the moment, so you get a very different view of what's going on. And yes, being able to split your screen like this makes a lot of difference. But yes, you have to design almost per device. So these arguments that one way is better than another just do not stand. So you can increase the window size, and that doesn't work for some reason. Yeah, had to refresh the screen. This is something I need to fix as well. So yes, there's a lot of bugs, but the point of this is to show you the source code. I can make the source code available, and you can just like play with it yourself. It's all hosted locally. The API is accessible. This is what I use for this interface. It's actually National Instruments tools that work okay most of the time, but not all the time. I had it crashing on me and so on and so forth. So this tool is called I intracranial EEG 2. So it's this one here. You can run it from here as well, but this is the source code. Happy to share this, and this is just loading. It's calling an API, which was made in LabVIEW. The API is publicly accessible as well. So you essentially can create your own user interface and then make the window scroll whichever way you like. But yes, probably if you can give a user options between which way you do it, that will be awesome.